Hi there everyone, welcome back again. Now I'm making this video today because I've had a couple of requests lately about setting up kind of roleplays, survival roleplays especially, that kind of thing, on No Man's Land but on any other map as well, and how I've done this before and what I did for my survival series on No Man's Land. So things have changed since I made the last video. Obviously that was several months ago. A lot of mods have come out since then, a lot of mods have been updated, so things are a little bit different. So I'm going to run through it now as how I would do it if I was setting this up now. So first things first, for anything we do, we naturally start off at the farmingsimulator.com website. If you just stick this into Google, navigate to the site, you'll be able to get here, it's not a problem. To download your mods, you either do it from the in-game mod hub, especially if you're running PlayStation, Xbox, that type of thing, or you can go to the website here, click on mods, and you also see all the mods that are available for download. Now, I play on PC, so I will be featuring PC mods on this. Some of these may not be compatible with your consoles, but where I can see that and where I know that happens, I will try and call out a couple of alternatives as well. So if you're not sure how to use this, simply, as I say, go to the mods button up here, it takes you into the mod hub, and in this, it's just a simple search. You search for whichever mod you want, and in this case, we're going to start off searching for No Man's Land, so you just type it into the search box. An alternative way of doing it as well is also you use the category tabs here across this, so you can search for things like top downloaded, the latest mods that have come out, if you're looking for certain prefabs, etc. Or in this category tab, you see it automatically expands out and gives you lots of different categories that all these mods are in. Now if we're looking for No Man's Land for this, we'll go to maps, and in here we see all the maps that are currently out for Farming Simulator 22. Now I know No Man's Land was one of the very first maps to come out. I think it was actually the very first map to come out, so it's on the very last page, but you can click through any of these, find the map that you want and download it from there. But I'll go here, the last page, we see No Man's Land by Alien Jim, and click on more info. For more info, we get a blurb about the mod. It tells us who created it, what size it is, what platforms it's available on, so we know this works across all of them. It also gives you a few screenshots at the bottom to give you an idea of how it works. Depending on what the mod creator has put in this, it'll give you a few blurbs about how it works, how it's functioning, what prices certain things are and stuff like that. Everyone's slightly different, so you have to click through them and have a read. Now to download it off Mod Hub, very simple, just click the download button. You see here in my version of Chrome, it automatically starts downloading and downloads this into my downloads folder on the PC. Now to do the setup, we also use a few other mods as well. Now as I say, I'm playing on PC, so some of these will be PC only mods. You see here PC Mac, there's no mention of Xbox, etc. On this mod, this is easy development controls, so we can't use this one on PlayStations, etc. But there is certain ways around it. So what easy development controls does is allow me to enter money into the game, etc., take money out, set certain standards. For No Man's Land it doesn't work because there's no fields available, but if there was fields pre-built into the map, I can go and say, right, I want field number 20 to have barley in it that's 50% grown, 100% fertilized, and has a course of lime on it for etc. Because we're using No Man's Land in this example, the fields aren't preloaded, so therefore we won't be able to do that, but it is an excellent tool for anyone wanting to set up or customize their own gameplay. Cannot recommend it enough. Easy development controls, but it is only available on PC and Mac. But what we'll do for this, for my version, we will download it. You see it coming up at the bottom. If you are on PlayStation, Xbox, etc., and you want a way of being able to add in money quickly and easily, you do this government subsidy mod. It's by Realmus Modding, the guys that used to bring us the seasons downloads. For this, you can input a lot of money quickly into your game. It'll build up your bank balance. We'll go through how to then get rid of that bank balance at the end of it, because you can't just minus the money out if you're on console, but there are ways and means around it. So if you're on console, this is a really good one here for getting money into your game quickly. Now again, we also need a way to create fields on this No Man's Land map. So what I use is this mod called Cultivator Field Creator. It's by a guy called Wobster. He's got quite a few good mods out, really good mods actually, really like them and I've used quite a few. But this allows me just to use a standard large cultivator to start creating fields quickly if that's what I want. Depends how you want to go with it. You can either preset all your fields, you can go out, do your setup, hire a massive John Deere, a 12-meter cultivator, pre-do all your fields and then get rid of it all. But to do that, you will need this type of mod anyway. So I'll download that one for myself. Again, for those of you guys on console, you can download this one. It's called Field Creator, works on PC, Mac, and also all the consoles. And what we do here, if we scroll down, we see we get a lot of equipment with this one. And this, rather than being like a script mod in the background, it just allows these tools to be able to break the virgin ground and make fields from the likes of that. So that's an alternative again for the console ones. Now these last couple of ones I'm going to show you, I can only see PC only for them. I can't really see an alternative for console, but I find them very, very handy to have. First one is Paint and Terraform Anywhere. This one basically takes away a bit of restrictions of what you can do in the map. So here you can see in this screenshot, for example, you're allowed to paint grass over the roadways, etc. Normally you wouldn't be allowed to do that. And obviously you don't really want to be able to do that, but it does then allow you to be able to place buildings quite close to preloaded structures, etc. Normally you aren't able to do that because of the terraforming rules in the game, etc. This one kind of ignores that a bit. It can then let you create an absolute disaster if you place things too close and they start overlapping with each other and start really interfering with each other. It can look horrible, but if it's used correctly, it can be a lifesaver in making a real, authentic looking location without having to go into Giant's editor and that kind of stuff. The final one I do as well, and this is purely just for, I don't know, ease, speed of delivery, quickness, I use the Store Deliveries mod as well, generally just whenever I'm setting something up. This allows me to define the position that vehicles will spawn on the map whenever I purchase something. So in the case of No Man's Land, it saves all the vehicles spawning down at the garage and then I have to drive them all the way up to wherever I've created my homestead. I can say no, spawn them at the homestead, and then it just means it's a 30-second drive as opposed to a 4-minute drive. It makes a big difference if you're setting up a game with a lot of vehicles in it at the start, because otherwise then you have to drive everything backwards and forwards. So I'll quickly go in, download these last couple of mods as well. Now if you're on PC, you're probably pretty familiar with how to install mods already. Whenever you download it, it comes into your downloads folder by default. You may have changed this depending on your own browser settings, but by default it goes there and that's where mine go. So we see here we've got all these zip files now of all the mods we've downloaded. In order to install them into the game, we need to open up another Windows Explorer folder, and I've already got one here. And if we open up into your Documents tab and then navigate to My Games within your Documents tab, you'll see you've got Farming Simulator 22. If we open that up and then into the folder called Mods, now in my system here you'll see I've already got an awful lot of mods installed, so we'll just skip past all of these and get to a bit of white space on your screen like that. Highlight all the mods that you've downloaded and simply drag them across from your downloads folder into your mods folder. Now whenever I release this, it'll ask me do I want to replace all the files in this destination. That's because I already have these mods installed. I'm just showing you how you would do it. Now I'm going to say just skip these files, so it hasn't actually moved anything for me, but in reality you would see these files pop across to here. Right, that covers what we need for mods and downloads at the minute. So let's fire up the game and get a new map loaded. Be back again in 3 seconds. Right, we're in, we've got the game loaded up. So first things we're doing then is looking for a new career. Need a new empty game slot, so I'm taking number 2 slot on mine, and we're going for new farmer. I use new farmer on this, not necessarily because it's easy, medium and hard. You can change all those things afterwards. The reason I use new farmer is because all the default map buildings etc get loaded in. That way you can choose what you want to keep, what you want to delete, what you want to move about. It just gives you a few more options. So new farmer, hit continue, and then select the relevant map. You see I've got a few maps on here as well, but we're going to go today for No Man's Land. Before you load the map up, it'll ask you what mods you want to use on that map. Now as you can see, I've got an awful lot of mods installed on mine. If you've just done the 4 or 5 that we talked about there, you'll only have 4 or 5 here, so there'll not be too many to select from. but you can either select individually the mods that you want by double clicking on the little box, or you can just deselect all, select all, and then you know that everything's getting dragged in that you want. And then once you hit start, the map will go off, it'll start loading. It'll take me a few seconds here to load because I've put so many mods into it, but it'll be literally 2 or 3 seconds, and you'll see loading here changes to start. And there you go, you can see we're now at 100% loaded and we are at start. So let's go into the map, and you see the first thing we're done is, do you want to create or change your character in any way? You can give them trousers, jeans, jumpers, whatever you fancy. Give them a t-shirt, customize them whatever way. Just hit confirm, and then we drop you into the default starting position. Now for no man's land, in that case, we're down at the shop with this, and you can see here I've got my pickup truck. Now, because I want to do a start from scratch, I don't actually want my pickup truck. I don't want everything else. I want the vehicles that I want to specify. So the way I start this at any stage is for this one I'll jump into my truck, drive up to the yard, and then we'll have a little look at the vehicles we have and get rid of the ones that we don't want. Right, that's us pulling up into the yard now. So as you can see, we still have all our buildings and everything here. This is the reason why I started the new farmer mode. If you start on start for scratch, you wouldn't have these types of things here. So just depending on what kind of scenario you want to set up, it gives you a few different options. Over here in the shed as well, you'll see we have all the starting equipment. Now I don't actually want that starting equipment, so I'm going to go into my store page by hitting P on the keyboard for me as a PC player. And I'm going to start selling off all this kit that I don't want. So it's just a matter of clicking through it all, hitting sell for everything. I'll keep the pickup for now, just because it's handy to drive about in something that's a little bit quicker. Although, with the Easy Development Controls mod, I'll show you how you can travel really quick around the map as well, because you can fly with it, you can travel at like 10 times normal speed and stuff as well. So it is very handy to have. But now that we've got rid of all that equipment, we are now at the point where you can start from scratch. If this is all you want to do, just a really basic setup of default kind of starting land, starting buildings, then you're good to go. And this was really where I did my series from at this point. I didn't do anything more beyond this. But some people will want to set it up a little bit differently, maybe have a few fields created, have a few new buildings, a few production facilities, maybe a forest planted, that kind of stuff. So what I'll do now is I'll go through a couple of tricks that I've learned over the years on how to set these things up as well. Now if you remember the store deliveries mod that I downloaded earlier as well, I'm holding down at the minute Shift Alt, and you see this nice big gold halo that has appeared. If I now push S, that now sets the default spawn position for any vehicles to that location. So they no longer appear down at the shop, they will spawn up here, and it just saves me driving everything up and down the map. Now if I want to create a couple of fields, I'm going to need tractors, I'm going to need cultivators, etc. I'm going to need things to do that work. I've got £108,000 in the bank, so I'm not going to get much for that. So using F12, I now go into the Easy Development Control page. And you see here the first thing we have is add money. Well, I want a big tractor, so I'm going to add 100 million. I think that's 100 million I've just typed in there. Hit enter on that. Back out of the screen, and you see my bank account is now very, very generous. Only do this for the setup part of it. Whenever it comes to actually doing the roleplay, then you can remove all the money, you can set the money, etc. You can do loads of stuff with this. For PC player, it is really, really exceptionally good. This is also where you control your flight mode, etc. from as well. And the speed that you run at, really good controls. I'll show you how these work now as well. You can also do a third person view too. Lots of things you can do on fields as well with this. Because we're in no man's land, it doesn't work quite so well with it, because it has to be fields that are defined in the map. So like field number 13, 14, 15, etc. on your PDA. Because you create everything custom in this map, it doesn't quite work the same, but it is still really, really good. You can do things like add pallets, add logs, tip to ground, where things just will appear. So if I show you where I'm stood at the minute, I say I want a pine log and I want it to be 8 meters long. I click 4 times on the little tick button, and you see here 4 pine logs have just appeared for me. Wonderful. We do that again over here. I want a pallet, I want some, I don't know, pallet of seeds. There we go. Click that. Bag of seeds appears. And it doesn't charge you anything for this. These are all free, it's just making them spawn automatically. Now because I've spawned all of that in exactly the position whereby I've placed my shop, I'll go over here and just respawn my shop position as well. Just so the tractors don't try and jump on top of logs. Now in order to do the field creation, if that's what you're wanting to do, go back in the shop menu. I'm going to buy myself a lovely big tractor. I've got loads of money now, nothing's an option, or nothing's an issue rather. I'll go for that nice big class. Let's get her spec'd up. Go for weights, attachers, engine, yeah, everything we need. Let's get that bought. What have we got? 530 horsepower. So then go into cultivators. Because I've got that mod in that allows me to plough up ground using the cultivator, this will then allow me to create fields. There we are, cultivators. Couldn't find it there for a second. I'll take this big Bednar one. It's 18 meters wide, requires 500 horsepower, so we should be good to go. This one, no, that one's a bit smaller. We'll stick with this. Buy that. Exit back out. So here we go. We see now both of them have spawned in that new location that I've defined, rather than spawning down at the shop. So that's really good, really handy. Now one thing I've just tried to do here, and I've remembered about this, whilst you've got flight mode on for the easy development controls, you can't actually get in and out of vehicles using the E key, because E actually makes you fly in it. So I've just disabled that, allowed myself to jump back into the vehicle, and then let's get this cultivator hooked up onto this beast of a case tractor. I'll just nip round the back of the house because there's plenty of open land around here that I can practice on or play about on. And just show you how we would create some fields. Ooh, just hit that tree. It's a bit bigger than I was thinking this thing. Right, now the cultivator's folded out. We'll get ourselves into a bit of open ground and open up that F1 menu. We see there at the second from the bottom we have got allow create fields by using the Y key. If we press the Y key, it activates that, and now whenever I lower the cultivator down, you should see, yep, it breaks up that meadow grass in the top. So as I drive along now, we're actually creating new fields here. This will now allow me to plant, seed, fertilize, do anything like that. With this meadow grass before, it's kind of dead ground as far as the game's concerned. It doesn't really let you do anything with it. So with this I can go up here, create a big field out the back of the house. Again, as a setup from scratch type thing, you don't have to do any of this. The way I did my roleplay, as I say, is just to start with this bare ground and then make things work. That was all part of the development. There we are, just finishing up that field now. And if I want to use the cultivator, but I don't want to be creating new fields, if I bring up the F1 menu again, hit that Y key again, you see it's now turned off the create fields option. So if I drive off the field onto the grass, it'll no longer dig up the ground. Yeah, so it's a really good way to disable that as well. I'll just quickly fold that up. And one thing I didn't cover, sorry, my apologies, is obviously if you're playing on console, you don't have the ability to use easy development controls and just add in £100 million. So the way you get around the money factor on that is to use that government subsidy mod that I showed you in the download center as well. You can add a couple of three of them in, it'll build up your cash, but then it does pose the problem of it's much harder to get rid of that cash again if you're using console. So the way you get around that is to go back into your shop menu, find the most expensive thing that's in here, which I think for me will be a cotton harvester. We see here I've got a cotton harvester for £913,000. If I go in and buy that, I've now spent £913,000. If I sell it straight away again, I'm only selling it, I'm almost losing £200,000 straight off. So if you're on console, what you do is you add in a smaller amount of money just so it's easier to manage. And then whenever you have finished doing everything that you want and you've got £2-3 million left over, then just buy lots of expensive equipment, sell it again straight away. You'll lose lots of money very quickly and it'll reduce that bank balance down to the level that you want to play at. You can start to really fine tune it as well if you do things like going in there. So I didn't want to lose £200,000. I only need to lose a few thousand or a few tens of thousands. You can go in and lease it then instead. So this will lose me now 46,000. If I don't want to lose that much, just find a cheaper piece of equipment. Something small. Here, this little Grape sprayer here. If I lease that, then I'm only going to lose £1,500. So as soon as you lease it, just go back into your menus again, and you can click to either return it if it's been leased, or sell it off if you no longer need it. And that's just a nice way of bleeding that money out of your map. Now we can also do loads of really good things on this with some of the other stuff that we have here. If we go into the landscaping mod and just zoom out a little bit here as well, especially on no man's land, you can see that a lot of stuff is kind of already semi-defined for us. We've got lots of little tracks, we've got forest lands and things like that. So what we can do, into landscaping, painting, I'll pick up a dirt texture, I'll make my brush a bit bigger and change it to a round shape. I find a round shaped kind of more organic, much nicer, and we just start painting in these roadways. Now you can obviously do this with whatever you want. If I wanted to do, what is that, asphalt? If I wanted to make my farm look really fancy and build proper roads everywhere, we can do that. Make that path a little bit bigger perhaps, bring it around there, and now we have loads of space for bringing our machinery through. Now you see here, we've gone off the property line that we own, so we can't put roads in somewhere that we don't own, but as we are 100 millionaires at the minute, that is very easily fixed. I will go on here, buy the map, and I just buy whatever plots I want. You can buy whatever fields you want. If you're playing on a normal map, there's really no limits to it. So then back into landscaping mode, selecting my tools again, getting it bigger, changing it to a circle. There we are. Let me see now. Picked the wrong one, but you get the idea. And you can now go on and paint around the rest of the map. Now the only caveat with this, I can resell that ground again. So this is the plot here that I was just drawing roads on. I can sell that now, so long as I haven't put any productions down on it. If I was to build productions on it, build facilities on it, then it won't let me sell it until I've sold all the things off it. So I think if I try and sell plot 26 here, for instance, yeah, it's telling me cannot sell this land whilst you own placeables on it. So the placeables on that is the house, the barn, the silos, all that kind of stuff. So I'll quickly repurchase this land again here, number 27, and just show you what I mean in a bit more detail. So back into construction again, and I wanted to put myself up a, I don't know, there we go. What's this, a cereal factory? I wanted to have that over here, turned around, put it at the side of the road, boom, there we go. And then maybe stick ourselves down a grape processing plant inside this little fork in the road. Now if I go back into the plot menu, you can see here, the first factory is in plot 26, the second one is in plot 27. Bring up my sell menu, can't do it anymore. So if you are using this to set yourself up a little village, little town, you have to kind of remember that, and when you're building things, a lot of stuff you can do as well then is kind of role play it a little bit, just buy everything up to start with. Pretend you don't want to create your fields within certain areas, and then whenever you do want to go and expand out to that ground, then you use the easy development controls to kind of minus the plot fees from your bank account. So in this case I would pretend to buy plot number 27 and just minus £85,000. But hey, your game, you do it whatever way you want. Now we can do lots of other good things as well with this. Go back into the construction menu again, you'll see under landscaping, that's it, we have got trees here as well. So I know No Man's Land has lots of forest areas in it already, but if you want something a little bit different, I'll go for a different kind of tree. There we go, that's a very small tree. Here, we'll start putting down a few of these, a few little ones in between, and we can really quickly build ourselves up a very unique and organic forest area. Now the trees that I'm putting down here as well, these are all harvestable. I can cut all of these down and use them as starting money in the game. Wow, those trees are actually really tall looking at them compared to everything else. I didn't realize they were that big. Let's just jump out a second and have a look at that. And zoom back to that. There we go. We've got ourselves a little shrubbery forest clearing in the woods. Now it does charge you for those trees you're putting down. You can just see in the top right hand corner there, it's minusing all those monies at the minute. But hey, at this stage of the game, it really doesn't matter. If I bring up easy development as well and just turn on flight mode again, I'll jump up into the sky just to give you an idea of how it all looks. So from this, especially from this kind of view, you can really start to see how you want to plan out your map as well. The flight mode in this is very, very handy, because it's hard at times to get an idea of what is where whenever you're viewing the PDA or you're driving around. It's just not easy to see kind of, oh yeah, I could expand it into that ground, I can see a little roadway, that would make an excellent plot for my cow yard and stuff like that. And you see up here we've got a bit of topography going on where there's a cliff face. You think, oh, maybe that could cause problems, I don't want to put buildings there, it doesn't look too flat. A large amount of rocks across there. Or hey, look at this up here, massive bit of forestry area. That would be an ideal spot for me to go and put my sawmill up. I don't want to be cutting logs all across the map, let's build it across there. Yeah, a really useful unit as well for the flight mode map. And if I go in, turn it off, you can also go parachuting as well. You just drop straight down. You can move as you do it as well, so you're almost like you're flying. Very nice. Right folks, that is really a whistle-stop tour of what I do to set myself up. It's not hard, it just takes a bit of imagination, a bit of practice, and you'll have your own start from scratch in no times at all. Now I hope this has been helpful for you. If you do like the video, please do me a favour, like, share, subscribe, follow us down below, leave me a comment, let me know what other videos you want to see. I'm hoping to try and get this channel up to 1,000 subscribers before Christmas. Things are really slowed down off late, but hey, that's just the way it goes. I'm still going to continue making the videos because I still really enjoy it. But if you have something that you want to see, or you want to see me doing things like mod reviews, map builds, map reviews, rather than gameplay or stuff like that, if the time lapse you prefer to see me doing like a live action talk through one, drop us a comment down below. I can pretty much do it all. So thank you so much for watching. We will see you again, and please, if you haven't watched my No Man's Land series as well, I think it lasted about 150 odd episodes. I spent 7 years in No Man's Land, went from absolutely nothing and left with a lot of money. I'm not going to tell you how much, because that kind of forms part of the last episode, but it's a good series to watch. It grew and grew and grew. It surprised me how much money I made in the end. So guys, once again, have a great weekend. See you all later. Bye now.